thought the mic was on.
Anything else I need?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I want to get your hearts a little bit here today. I'm going to need everybody's help in regards to what I'm going to share with you.
You got his?
Vulnerable with each and every one of you. I want to share it with you from my heart.
Just take some. Have the mic.
We are in a sprint. We're in a race. There's 2 years left. And we need all of you to jump on the bandwagon.
Should I take it right to
and
him?
make it happen for you and your family. And I want to show you how it's happened for me and my family. This is my story. You know, I am just like you, doing things just like you have done, or will do. And I want to share with you my defining moments. And as I do, I want to make sure that you let those defining moments relate to your defining moments. They happen for you for a reason. And each of us have our own. But in the end, they're what defines who we are. And so let your defining moments define who you are. Open your heart, take notes, write down as these stories come in how it relates personally to you and what your defining moments are. I want to start it off with a story from Liz Murray and what her defining moments are.
You know that feeling where you just don't want to do something, where you just want to give up? That feeling where you're absolutely spent and you can't imagine dragging yourself beyond that moment, right? I think to have perseverance is to know exactly how to overcome that feeling every time it hits you. My name is Liz Murray, and I guess most people know about me because of the Lifetime movie that was created about me. I was born in the Bronx. Both of my parents were hippies. They had kind of done the New York City party scene thing, and then by the time the early 80s came around, and my older sister Lisa and I were born, their hippie disco dancing thing had become a drug habit. And so Lisa and I grew up in a home where our parents were heavily addicted to drugs, weren't careful. And my parents were using needles really freely. And my mother informed me one day that she had contracted HIV. The family just fell apart around this. My father lost the apartment that we grew up in. He began living in a homeless shelter. My mother was in the hospital, fading fast. And I took to the streets with a group of kids who were kind of lost, kids without homes. Pretty soon, there was really nowhere to go back to. I didn't even think that much of it the first night that I slept on the subway. I don't think I ever really sat down at some point and said, I'm a homeless person. It's not like I identified with that. I had just turned 16 when my mother passed away. And I don't think that I had a full understanding of what was happening inside of me, but I feel as though it really began that day. And when I say it, I mean some kind of change. And so when she passed away, I had that touch. I did feel what it's like to see life there one minute and have it completely squashed and gone the next. And I did feel robbed. I realized basically that my time is limited. And I just said, if I keep going like this, I'm going to end up wasting my life too. I thought, I need to go to school because I have all this potential inside of me, and how is it ever going to become anything? Since I was going to be 17 by the time I began high school, I just said, so I do high school in 2 years. Well, at the end, as I wrapped up and I finished high school, and all those applications got dropped in, I found this scholarship from the New York Times. So I applied to that, and all of this kind of happened at the same time. I actually had my interview with the New York Times the same day that I had my interview with Harvard. The next week, I found out that I was awarded the scholarship. Pretty soon after that, I got the letter. And and I remember opening up and I don't really have words for it. If I could talk to myself back when I'd given up, I would say don't look at the people around you who are doing things and think that they are made of something more than you. They've learned some stuff and they're putting it to use and they're probably willing to work really hard for it, but they're not made of anything different than you are. Don't get psyched out. As long as you're willing to work past the point where you feel you have absolutely nothing left inside of you, that's perseverance.
Perseverance. What are your anchors? What are your defining moments? What did she say? You know, our makeup, each and every one of you, there is no difference between you, myself, Rick Dixon. Our makeup is the same. But what defines you? What are your defining moments? What are your anchors? When I snap my fingers, what change comes upon you, like when Liz Murray said change? When Liz Murray said I was 16, what happened to her? Her mom died. She decided that she was going to do something different. Because why? What did she say? So she didn't end up like her parents. I think back to my grade school and high school years. Maybe some of you can relate with that as well too. Doesn't matter whether you're 22 or 82. We have an opportunity to change our stars, to be who we really want to be. Just like Liz Murray did. Let me take you back. Let me take you on a journey back to the original beginning of FFG. I want, as I'm going through this, I want each of you to shape in your minds what defines who you are. Let your defining moments drive you. As I say things, stories are going to come into your mind. As those stories come into your mind, write them down, because they will define who you are. It will start off gradual, start off today, and it will grow into potentially something like my story. It doesn't start overnight, but it starts today. Don't miss this opportunity. It is not by chance that you're sitting in this room. There are too many coincidences that are not coincidences that have put us here together today. I can tell you story after story, miraculous things that have happened because of this business. I promise you, this is not by chance that we are here. Allow this to change your life. This old desk is the beginnings of FFG for me. Let me tell you what this desk represents to me. Let me describe the setting, okay? I lived in Sandy, Utah. Across the road lived Rick Dixon. And this desk right here represents every Friday sales meeting, where if Rick Dixon would stand up, Rick, would you stand up? Dan McKenzie, would you stand up? The three of us would compete every single week around this old desk. And I promise you, it didn't matter whether there were three of us or this entire room. And I want this to sink deep to regional managers. It was a fight every week between the three of us. It was competition. I didn't want to be the last one sitting down. It was not an option every week for us not to come in with business. And we were competitors. And that's what started the competition that you see today. Let that dry deep with each of you. Thank you. That leader made it so. That leader, didn't matter whether there were 3 or 23 or 103 in that room. It didn't matter. We love to compete. And that old desk drove me to compete. And that's a defining moment. That is my reason why I want to compete today. This is me. I was the most valuable player on my soccer team. And I think you all know who this player is right here. He was my idol, my mentor. And I fought to be who I wanted to be in soccer. And yet while I was in high school, I was cut from my high school soccer team. You can see how powerful that would have been to play on that field of my high school soccer team. And I didn't get to do it. Okay, that wasn't my field. You know, that defining moment, as your defining moments will define you, caused me to fight to be number 1. Do you realize, just like Tiger Woods, I have to reinvent myself every year. It is not easy to compete for number 1, but it's worth it. And it's worth it for each of you. Tom Blackmeyer, would you stand up? For 7 years in this day and age of FFG, I have said in this same room every 7 years that we have not even hired the person that's going to make the most amount of money in this deal.
Worked out great.
And through last year, there was nobody else that either wanted to or was competing. Tom Blackmeyer came to compete. Who else in this room came to compete? That high school soccer team caused me to overperform. Caused me to fight for number 1. Second place is not good enough for me. Even the 50-yard line seats are not good enough for me. I came to play ball. How about you? Yeah. Rick, look around. Can you believe from these 3 people, from many of you that were part of that, or who were the original 20 that were in New Orleans that Carrie was talking about earlier? Stand up real quick. Look around. Look at where we are today. That's the fulfillment of several defining moments. And you're seeing it right before your eyes. History is being made. And you know what the funny thing about history is? Is that we kind of forget history. History repeats itself. And sometimes when you're in the moment of what actually is happening, you don't really know how good you've got it. How many of you will allow 2 years to go by and say, you know what, I was a part of that deal. That company sold, and you're going to have your grandkids on your knees, sitting on your rocking chair, and telling them about these stories. Okay? But your house is going to be similar to Tiger Woods' house right now, the doghouse. And you're going to say, I missed that opportunity. Don't be in that position. Take full advantage of this opportunity. Okay, like that doghouse, this was my first. Oh, wait a minute, that's the wrong picture. That was my first home. Why are you laughing? I'm just kidding. Okay. It wasn't even that home. See that window up in the corner? That was my first apartment. I would leave from that apartment and I would go to my company that I worked at just down the street in Salt Lake City every day with my brown bag lunch. My wife would drop me off. She'd go to the bank and she'd work. And I can remember a day, maybe like a defining moment for you, when I was getting ready to buy my first home. I was so excited that I was in a position to where I wanted to be somebody. I had the tiger by the tail. I knew that I was going to win. Okay? I didn't want to get beat down like I was in high school. I didn't want to get beat down. I knew I was going to be a gazillionaire. But I had, maybe like some of you have in your past, no, not even 2 wooden nickels to rub together. But I was going to be somebody. I went to lunch that day. Everybody in my office knew it. To close on my very first home. My wife came over, picked me up. We went to sign on the papers. I was on cloud 9 the rest of the day. Until 5 minutes before 5. 5 minutes before 5. My boss. And you got to understand something. I was the top salesman in this company. You know, we talk about what you did in the schools. I sold, the reason why I got this job, maybe many of you in Salt Lake know the company, they're still around, Burgoyne Computers. The reason why I got this job was because of the fact that I sold more computers in the state of Utah to all the schools in the state of Utah than anybody else. Nobody had ever done what I did. We built the PCs in the back room, and we delivered them to every school. I was part of that. That's why I got this job. 5 minutes before 5, things changed. The president brought me in the room, vice president was sitting there, and they began to tell me that I was the last employee hired. The only non-family member. You can see what's coming, right? And they began to tell me that today was my last day. I just closed on a house. Everybody knew it. But I just got fired. I had between that door to my wife's car, to our car, to make a decision of what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And I can tell you that defined who I am today. It defined who I am because I said, and I had to make this up quick. I'm not real quick. But I had to decide in about 30 seconds that never again was I going to leave it up to anybody else what the value of my paycheck was going to be worth again. You know, let me tell you about another defining moment. Some of you know this building. It's across the street from one of the most important places of my life. This building right here is where I got allergic to shrimp. No, that's not why this building's important. But Nino's is on top. That's another story, though. Rick Dixon. This is where I met Rick Dixon. Okay? This building right here. I was working as a stockbroker. My cousin, 6 months prior, had told me that I needed to meet this guy. That this was my type of people. This is one of a kind. He just couldn't describe him enough. He talked about him so much for 6 months that I was happy where I was at, but he forced me over to meet with this guy. My wife and I went in, interviewed with him. Anybody can relate? Okay? And we sat down and met with this person. It changed my life. This was another beginning and a huge defining moment. See, defining moments can be both positive and negative, but the outcome can always be positive. It's how you make it so. This is me. You know, there were 30 people in a room. Picture yourself in a room of 30 people, and FFG is trying to determine who are going to be the regional managers across across the country. And they look at you, Carrie, and they say, this is where you're going. And this is where you're going, Chuck. And this is where you're going, Rob. And this is where you're going. And this is where you're going. And then they get to me, and you got to understand that I was an individual that was not expected to go anywhere. You know, my nickname was the Monotone Tag-On Crybaby. And so what did the person do? He skipped right over me and went to the next person and said where they were going. It was like I wasn't even in the room, just like that empty chair right there. I wasn't even here. That defined who I am today. You know what? I said, I'm going to show them. I'm going to be the last man standing. And again, Rick and Dan, of us three, those are the only people that are left from that 30 group. That's who defined me. Allow that to define you. What are your stories? What are your whys? My most important why, my most important defining moment is my wife. You know, even she probably doesn't know this after 23 years. But when I first met her, I didn't think I had a chance. She was the most beautiful person to me. I love her with all my heart. She's my cheerleader. She is my rock. She is the reason why I'm here today. I'm even more in love with her today than when we first met. And you know what? I love to compliment my wife. Because you know what? It pays great dividends. And boy, do I love dividends. You know, build it in your mind. Dreams, goals, defining moments will define who you are. And it is critical that you write down your whys through defining moments. Use your goals as they define you. Make them anchors. Build it in your mind, on paper, and then in action, just like you build a home. It's no different. That's how goals work. We know the steps. Make all your dreams real by first identifying them and focusing on specific, tangible targets that you want to reach. Share it with a mentor. Share it with a friend, with your spouse, with your regional manager. Set short-term, mid-term, long-range goals. Visualize. Visualize yourself already in attainment of that goal. Start today. Fire, ready, aim, as a mentor told me. You know, you got to be bad before you can be good. You got to be good before you can be great. Don't wait. Don't organize your life. 5 years later, get started. Get started right now. Figure out how you can win today. Make it. Plant your flag. Make a decision right here and now. Not Monday, because Monday's already, it's too far away. Make the decision right now of who and what you're going to be. Set your goals in the past tense. Make sure that you absolutely know what those goals are and how you're going to obtain those goals. Write down a game plan. Be specific. Reward yourself. I was into aquariums. I had 30 aquariums at one point in time. I raised African cichlids. I would give myself even as small as a $7 fish for reaching 5,000 points in target premium, or whatever my goal was for the week. Okay? Reward yourself when you accomplish your goals. And then if you don't, fight to make sure you make up for it for the next week. Have rituals. I go on a walk 5 miles a day. And it's my time to just focus and just to be in a state of where I can clear everything else out and make sure that I'm on track with where I want to be. Man, 1 hour of time planning is worth 3 hours of execution in the field. Plan your work, work your plan. You can be all that you want to be by being an expert. Or you can be all that you want to be in life by reading the books and the people that you meet in 5 years. Unless you've met FFG. In FFG, you can make that happen in 6 months. Right?
Yes, sir.
Unless you're Brent Dixon. And if you're Brent Dixon, how quickly can you make a person an expert? 1 month, he says. How about the rest of these guys on this page? How quickly can you make a person an expert? Michael Lysenko? 4 weeks. That's a month. How about you, Kerry Farnes? How about my district managers? How about my other regional managers? How about all of you? How quickly can you make a person from today start? How about yourself? How quickly can you yourself turn yourself into an expert? If it's to be, it's up to me, right? Be all that you can be. Move quickly up the ladder of success. And when you don't hit your goals, fight. When you hit the brick wall, fight. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I can't breathe. My head goes, but I have to stop. No. I'm sorry.
What do you do? We can't stop you only there.
How much?
It's the little tiny 9 miles.
Oh no.
What? He's hit it.
Okay, baby, let's go to bed. Tracy. Dennis.
Dennis?
Doyle, a clothing store security guard running for the last 10 3/4 hours on basically one leg, is refusing to rest until this race is run. Unbelievable!
I've never finished anything against my life, Des.
All you want to do is give up.
I'm not quitting!
That's exactly what you need to do, Dennis.
Why not? Why not? Let's go, do!
Dennis?
Have your mentor help you get over the wall. You need someone to lift you up higher than the ground that you're walking on. Are you growing or are you dying? Don't mistake the beginning from the end. We're just getting this party started. A lot of times we think that we've arrived, or that we think that it's the end and it's just the beginning. Don't forget, this is still just the beginning. I can remember my wife always telling me, honey, don't get down. It's okay if you haven't written anything yet this week. It's okay that your agents aren't writing any business. But you know what? I began to learn that something that could help me move forward, maybe this might help you, is that she would say, I'd say, how much money do we need to make sure that we've got everything taken care of this month? She'd give me that amount, and I just double it and say, that's what premium I've got to go out and write between now and the rest of this month, and I do it. Don't complicate this thing. It's simple. In closing, I'd like to leave with you one of my most powerful poems that I've ever heard in my life. This, I hope, will mean as much to you as it has to me.
That one. Where's the other? Is this from you?
Thank you.